Okay, we're back again for a second session with Ryan Kramer. So thanks for joining us. Remember, in our last session, Ryan told us about, first of all, 4 or 5 steps that he advises to take. And number one was to refine your schedule. I'm going to let him elaborate on a little bit more on that today. Number two is track your numbers. Number three was set goals. Four was to have a plan. And then lastly, he suggested at the end of the meeting that we keep doing what we're doing until we figure this out so that we don't completely stall while we're learning new skills. One quote that I really liked that he left with us last week was imperfect action is always better than no action. So keep that in mind as you go through these classes. And thanks for being here again, Ryan. And I'm going to turn the time over to you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we got a little bit of feedback. It sounds like a few people actually watched the video. That's great. I'm glad that if we can help, we can help. We did get some feedback, however, that people were asking, agents were asking, what do we need to do? How do we set up a schedule? So I guess we'll take a few steps back, and this will be a short and sweet video today. But I would say when it comes to making the schedule, number one, let's determine what is making us the most money possible. Maybe look at your commission statements over this year and say, okay, where did I get this deal, this deal, this deal, and this deal? Is it sphere of influence? Is it mailers? Is it door knocking? What type of prospecting is generating that income? And let's start with that. So once you've determined where you're making your income, let's put our schedule together. So the schedule is going to start whatever time you wake up in the morning. You should be waking up at the same time every morning during work weeks, I would think. And I know most successful people that I know, they're up at the same time every day, and they're pretty much to bed at the same time, because then we can create a consistent energy level at work. You're going to the bathroom at the same time, you're eating at the same times. The more we can repeat our day-to-day activities, the better results we're going to get, the better we can track those numbers, the better that we can tweak them to do better. So your schedule starts when you wake up, and we all have the same amount of time in every single day. It's important that we get everything out of it, because when I look at guys that are way more successful than me, they have the same 24 hours in every day I do. And I remember when I got into the business, and then when my son was born and when he started playing sports, I was like, oh my gosh, at that time I was an avid golfer. I was playing a lot of golf, and I thought, okay, well, I still got to work every day, X amount of hours. I got to do his sports. So I ended up cutting golf out, literally cold turkey, just cut it out one day because I wanted to focus on my son's sports. And now I've got about 4 more years of that, and then I can pick up golf again. So find out when you wake up every day. Should be the same time, coffee, tea, breakfast, whatever it is, have all that on the schedule. If it's dropping off kids and everything else, have all that scheduled. Now, I'm not saying you can't have maybe a Friday, you have a little bit of a flex day. You stop at Starbucks to get hot chocolate with the kids and a cake pop or whatever else. I mentioned that because that's what I used to do. Or if it's stopping at the donut shop or Pink Box or Voodoo Donuts or whatever it is, you can have some flexibility, but the majority of the work week should be work. I mean, this is what we're here to do. So have a set schedule before you get to work. And then really, we want to fine tune exactly what we're doing when we get to work. So if you get to work at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, it's every day. Now, from there, my recommendation that's worked for me, and I'm always happy to hear what other people are doing that are successful, that's working for them, because I'm not saying I've got the best program. I would love to tweak mine and make it better. Believe me, I would. So I get to work, and the first thing I'm doing is activity that's going to create income for me. Right. So basically prospecting, that's what I've determined is number one for me in income producing. So I focus on prospecting first, then price reductions. We're back to that market now, right? There's been a couple of years where we haven't had to worry about that. So prospecting, price reductions, eat behind my desk every day. That's, I've gotten used to it. So not a big deal for me. And with DoorDash and things like that, now I can get pretty much anything I want. Outback sends a filet to the office, not a big deal. So eat behind the desk. I'd rather not waste the hour. And then I'm back on the phones again, usually with past clients, sphere of influence. For me, it's 30 minutes a day. And then from there, following up with anybody that I was trying to reach out to in the morning. And after that, I focus on the service side of it. So I would say for most agents, with or without an assistant, you should be able to at least 80% profit generating activity, 20% servicing. So basically that's going to be what, 6 hours and 40 minutes a day of profit producing activity. And the rest is servicing, putting out fires, dealing with inspections, dealing with resolution of due diligence and appraisal issues and things like that. The better you have your schedule set up, the better you can continue to focus on that. Because what happens is you start your prospecting at 9 o'clock, you get an appraisal issue at 9:30, you deal with that for 40 minutes, and now you can't get back to your profit generating. Think of it like if you went out on a jog, do your morning exercise, and your kid calls you, he missed the bus, blah, blah, blah. You go pick him up, take him to school. Are you going to go back out on the jog? 99% chance you're not, right? When I do my exercise, and one reason why I do it at 5 in the morning is because that's the one time my phone doesn't ring. So I don't feel like I'm interrupted, because I know if I take a phone call, I just lose the intensity of that workout. It's just never going to finish the way that I want it to. So hopefully that helps a little bit with the schedule. Please, if you have questions on it specifically, just call me and let's look at what you're doing, or Daryl, and then let's personalize it, because this is going out to a lot of agents. And so it's hard to really break down specifically how best to set that up, because we have agents doing, 300 deals a year, 200 deals a year, 100 deals a year, 50 deals a year. And so there's such a wide range on how to critique this for individual agents. Just reach out to us, and I'm happy. Daryl's happy. I don't want to speak for Ron. I'm sure Ron, I know Dan Dixon would. We can help tweak these schedules for you and make recommendations on what may or may not work. Now, that being said, the most important thing I can preface in all of this is there seems to be an admiration for mentors and coaches these days. And I think a lot of that is because of social media and the influencers and how much money I think they've realized can be in this industry. And the funny thing is I talk to some of these people that make a lot of money doing that, whether it's in the fitness world, not so much real estate, but fitness world and other communities. 99% of the people that subscribe to them don't follow what they say. And it's more obvious in the fitness world, because you look at their fans that are paying for all these programs and you're like, man, it doesn't look like he's done any exercise in the last year, but he's still paying you $20 a month for your fitness programs, right? So again, you have to make the commitment to do this. And there's no reason why you don't. Makes no sense. If you're not getting the results you want right now, it's not going to hurt to try something different. And if you're getting what you feel like are mediocre results, what do you have to lose? It's the agents that are selling 100, 200, 300, 400 homes a year. They have something to lose, because if they tweak something, potentially it may cost them a lot of money. If you're not selling 100 homes a year, it's not going to cost you a lot of money to tweak something and try to implement something new. It may be a little scary, maybe a little uncomfortable, but usually anything that is worth it is going to be uncomfortable and quite frankly, sometimes a little nerve-wracking, and it's okay. I think just like top athletes still talk about how they get nervous when they go into a big game. As agents, we should too. I still get butterflies going into appointments occasionally. And I think that's normal. I mean, that's good. That means we care. We still want to do the deals. So reach out to us on the schedules and we'll tweak those for you. In terms of the schedules, you need to understand, just like a new workout program or anything else, I'm going to ask you to follow it without any deviation for at least a week. Okay. Before you start tweaking it again, just follow it for a week without deviation. It really truly takes about 90 days to start getting the results you want from a new schedule and a program, just like diet, just like exercise or anything else. So please commit to a 90-day change. Now, again, the schedule has to be something you can follow every day. It's like I see some of these, I think there's a workout program called 75 Hard. I have had a lot of friends do it, right? You work out twice a day. You do it for 75 days, no drinking, no soda, no alcohol, no soda, strict diet, and then you read 10 or 20 minutes a day or something like that. Well, that sounds great, right? I'd say 90% of my friends that have tried this new program that's been really trendy, on the 80th day, they never go back to exercising that way. And so if we can't repeat it, it's not any good. So please keep that in mind when you set your schedules. And again, we're happy to sit there and tweak it. One thing we really want to focus on right now is thriving and not just surviving. I know a lot of you aren't going to want to hear this. I'm sure I'm going to get some nasty calls and text messages. We're just entering into this downturn, right? So the worst of it is still ahead of us, especially with the Fed saying they're going to continue raising interest rates. It's fine. We all have survived. The majority of us have survived 08, 09, 2010. So we're going to have no problem surviving this, but let's accept that it is most likely going to get a lot worse before it starts getting better. So now is the time to prepare for it, so we don't have the wind knocked out of our sails when it truly gets here. Let's start implementing those skills that we haven't had to use for a long time, like price reducing, like validating clients' feelings, improving our service and communication with our clients as well. In terms of focus, we live in a world today, I'm guilty of this. Focus is extremely difficult. We have too many devices, too many distractions. I love sports, right? I have a kid that likes to text message me while he's at school. I mean, those are distractions, and I have to remind him. But unless it's an emergency, don't text me from this time to this time, right? We can do that before school, after school, at practice, anything else. But during work, I need to stay focused. So it is really important that you remove all of those distractions from your schedule, from your office. I used to keep an iPad with updates on all the scores during baseball seasons, during the Major League Baseball seasons. And I just had to stop doing that because I would start looking at it and find myself 10 minutes later that I wasted, X amount of phone calls because I was watching a potential no-hitter. So focus is something that today more than ever we need to work on. When I got into the business, cell phones were just getting really popular. And so we didn't have those distractions that we do today. When you're doing your lead generation in your schedule, every call we make, we are making that call to set an appointment. I don't care if it's a buyer or a seller or anybody else. Set the appointment. We now have the time because things have slowed down enough that we need to improve and increase that personal contact with clients. And it's going to give you a far better chance, in my opinion, to make sure that you secure that deal. So, and I feel like, especially on the buying side, if you have an opportunity to have them come to the office or go meet with them at their office, that personal contact is going to completely separate you from the competition. Take that time to do that, and maybe even implement that into your schedule, that between this hour and this hour of every day, I'm going to go out and try to meet with these people. I'm, getting back to the point now where if I can set price reduction appointments in person, I'm doing it in person. It's a lot harder for them to say no, reducing the price in person, just like it's harder for them to say no about, I'm not signing the listing agreement or the purchase contract in person. So those are all things we need to remember that we used to do. Presenting, offers, counter offers in person, it's getting back to that now. So I've had to go back and look at a lot of my old notes as to what worked and what didn't work, seller financing and things like that as well. I've noticed, because people make a lot of comments about successful people, or people that are driven. And usually, of course, it's only those that aren't as successful. But we have to remember, it's really painful to be broke, right? It's really painful to be successful. But people don't think of it that way. It really is. The sacrifice we make to be successful is painful. I can't remember the last time on a Monday afternoon I sat home and watched a ball game. I honestly can't. I don't regret it. And honestly, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. But It's painful to be broke and it's painful to make a lot of money. You just have to decide which one is more painful for you. And that's not a rhetorical question. Some of you are going to say, it's more painful to be successful. I'd rather be broke. Okay, no hard feelings. More pie for the rest of us. That's okay. But this is a market that is changing. And as we kind of talked about last week, this is an old saying that's gone around for years and years and years. The market doesn't determine what we make, it just determines what we have to do to make what we want. So that schedule is extremely important right now. So again, set the schedule before you get to work, when you wake up, all the way to when you go to bed. And then we got to follow it every single day, because that's going to create a consistent game plan that can be repeated. If you don't know how to do that, based on what we've talked about today, reach out to us and I'm happy to go through it in detail. I know there were 2 people that reached out to me about my personal schedule, and I've just been slammed, no excuses. I need to get those to you so you can look at them and tweak them. And I will definitely do that. But hopefully you guys are getting something out of this. Again, the more feedback, the better. I don't claim to know it all. I would love, what you guys do that works as well, because it's important for me to always be improving what I'm doing and tweaking what I'm doing so that I can continue to improve. You never want to get stagnant, in my opinion. So hopefully this helps, and we'll get on the video again next week after we get some more feedback and try to add to this a little bit and go from there. Anything else that I can touch base on for you, Daryl?
Actually, that's a great job again. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing. One thing that struck me, it's almost intimidating to get started on this, because if you look at your schedule, you think about your schedule, you feel like you're overwhelmed, and to write it all down seems like a pretty daunting task. Take the big pieces first. Get that down so that you at least have a regimented structure to your day with the big pieces that make you money, the prospecting piece, the hard pieces, and all the other little things you'll be able to fill in over time. And this is such great advice. I am convinced that the majority of us waste about 80% of the time of our day, and we don't even know it. So when you start writing things down, you're going to find a whole bunch of holes where you can put in other work items that make you more productive. So Ryan, thanks. I appreciate you sharing that. And we're going to sign off, and hopefully we'll hear from you again to fill in more of these blanks. I do want to share that this is kind of the beginning of a track of some interviews that we hope to do with other agents as well, so that we can share with each other how to be successful. And everybody seems to have a different way to skin the cat. So we'll look forward to having those interviews as well. But looking forward to seeing you again, Ryan, and thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Bye-bye.
Thank you.